Hello and welcome. Today we are going to talk about 6 different ways that your spirit guides might be sending you messages. And the 6th way, the last one I'm going to share, is one that is not, I feel like, so talked about all of the time. So I'm going to save what I think is the best for last. Okay, so number 1, repeated numbers. Do you see repeated numbers? They can be on the clock, 111, 222, any of the repeated numbers, on the clock, on receipts, when you send like a voice message to someone, the time you send it at, just driving around and seeing a license plate. Those are all situations where you might see repeated numbers or patterns. So for example, if I see like 1, 2, 3, 4, to me, that the message there, I think I must have heard someone say it one time, but when I see the 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a message of like, I'm moving in the right direction. For me, it might not mean the same to you. Although if you're hearing me say it, you're probably going to see 1, 2, 3, 4 at some point, and it probably does mean that for you, that you're moving in the right direction. It's like a wink and like a keep going kind of message. The repeated numbers in general for me mean like you're on the right track. Keep going. We see you. We acknowledge you. We're stomping in to say hi. Keep going. That's how I feel the repeated numbers feel. Do you see repeated numbers? Is it a certain number? You can also just Google it. If you are seeing a lot of 3s or a lot of 8s, just Google the numerology behind it. It can be really interesting because that number may have a specific message for you, more so than just like keep going. So look into the numerology. The second way that they like to get our attention is in dreams. So dreams can be a really interesting way because we do not have as much of our conscious logical mind going on. So sometimes they can literally visit us in our dreams. And when I'm saying they and spirit guides, it's whoever you think about as on your team. Maybe it's angels, maybe it's loved ones that have passed away. Maybe that's the typical spirit that is your guide, a typical spirit guide. I also think a lot of our spirit guides are aspects of ourself so parts of our soul that are maybe having different experiences or have had different experiences. Maybe your higher self or your soul self, however you think about it. We can receive messages from spirit. It's really how you think about it. But yeah, they can come in our dreams. We can get literal messages in our dreams, or again, they might just be showing up to offer that love, offer healing, offer support. You can ask before you go to bed for a spirit guide to visit you in your dreams and relay some message or give you some sort of healing that you need, whether it's healing to move through a problem or physical healing. You can ask for that before you go to bed. If you're someone who does not remember their dreams often and you want to, the best tip I would say for that is setting the intention before you go to bed, whether it's like typing into your phone or writing it on a piece of paper or saying it out loud or in your head, just setting that intention that you want to remember your dreams and you want to have a guide visit you. And then when you wake up in the morning, just jotting down anything you remember from your dreams, feelings, emotions, colors, thoughts. If you actually saw something or remember a storyline, go ahead and do that. That can get your body used to trying to remember your dreams. Okay, objects. This one can be really neat. I don't feel like this happens with me, but I know this happens with other people where they will find, like I have a friend who is always finding like heart-shaped things out everywhere. And to her, that means I don't know if it's a loved one or a certain guide, but that they're like, showing themselves to you. It could be in the form of coins, happens a lot, or feathers, but just little objects that are either placed in your house even that don't make any sense, or just when you're outside in the world and you see a certain object, like you notice it like on the ground under you, or, you notice it when you're out and about. But there could be certain objects that are tied to either a past loved one or certain guides. And again, usually it's a message of like, keep going, like you have our support, we love you, like you're not alone. That's typically how I think those messages are, but feel into it, and maybe there's more than simply just, hello, I'm here, I love you. Just. Okay, the next one is animals. So our guides can show up as animals all the time. I find that animals are very connected to the spirit world, especially birds seem like, there's some weird sound going on over there. Birds are super important. That sound is just acknowledging that, yes, this is definitely for you. And the type of bird probably matters too. So as I find, for me at least, the birds are definitely connected to past loved ones. So maybe like when your grandma is showing you that she's there, it's always a cardinal, or when it's so-and-so, it's always a blue jay, a hawk. I know for a lot of people like me, hawks are always, actually, so this is interesting. For me, like cardinals, those kind of birds are like loved ones. But hawks to me are spirit guides. Now, isn't that funny? I wonder for you, let me know. I'm curious how you all feel about that, if you feel one way or the other. When I see a hawk, it's usually in my mind, the way I receive it, my spirit guides either saying like, it's usually you're on the right track, keep going. And when you see, this is a little tip, or you probably already know this, but just to draw it further to your conscious mind, when you are receiving a message from spirit, whether it's repeated numbers, whether it's an object, like seeing a hawk for me, pay attention. What were you just thinking about? What were you just thinking in your brain? What was just going on? Typically, the message is related to what you were just feeling or thinking about. So if I'm driving in my car and I'm thinking about a relationship, or I'm thinking about like a new course that I want to launch, and then I see a hawk, it's like, okay, like go in that direction. Like I'm headed in the right direction with whatever I was just thinking about. It's extra confirmation. That's how I see it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The fifth one, tarot and oracle cards. This honestly, so not the past like month, because I have for some reason not been using my cards. I'm getting that spirit wants to connect with me more, just like telepathically. However, for years, and I'm sure after this little phase that I'm in, it'll happen again. For years, the easiest, best way for me to get messages from spirit were to use my tarot and oracle cards. Especially if you can get one that you're connected to, that you feel like really connected to, that you really like the imagery of, the pictures on it. I find I can receive the best messages from my guides, and typically I don't connect with my loved ones through oracle cards and tarot cards, but I will connect with my higher self, my guides, and I get the easiest messages using cards. So know that you have other tools too. You don't just have to like sit in meditation or wait until you see a repeated number. You can take the initiative and pull cards and ask what you most need to know right now. The other thing I'm seeing is like, you don't even need to pull cards. You could just like flip through the guidebook and just like see, all the decks have like the guidebooks. It's like flip through and see, okay, which page of this has a message for me. I've done that even with like personal development books, which person, like just kind of looked at my bookshelf. It's like, okay, I'm like really drawn towards that book, but I know like I'm not going to read it right now. Maybe there's a message for you in that book. Like flip through and land on a page, read it and see how it resonates. Maybe it'll help you think about a situation that you're moving through in a better way, or maybe it'll be a message of inspiration, of love, whatever. But that can be super helpful. Okay. Last one, I think the biggest one that I feel like we forget, I think we all know this, and I think we forget, is that spirit works through people people and connections. We are human. We are meant to connect with people while we are here. We are not meant to be off on the, well, maybe there's some people that are meant to be off on the hillside. But if you are watching this video, you are not one of those people. You are meant to be like boots on the ground, connecting with people, making those connections, even if it's not like a ton of people, but you're meant to make those connections, whether it's a deep, deep relationship, like a deep connection, and you see each other often and you talk often, or I shouldn't even say that, because you can have a deep connection that I don't always talk often with my deep connections. Some of my deepest connections, I'll talk to them for like, a bunch of days, 1 month, and then it's like 3 months off, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, let's connect again. So I didn't mean what I said before. So it could be people like that you feel very deeply connected to. And what the way spirit can work through them is they might have like a literal message for you. You might be talking to them and it's like they're talking and it's almost like they channel your spirit guides or they channel your higher self and they just like drop. And you've probably had this happen to you too. Like where you just like say this like just full of wisdom-y thing and you're like, whoa, where did that come from? I truly believe we can tap in and channel like for other people kind of accidentally, and I think they do it for us too. It could happen that way, but it could also be like you're in line at the grocery store and maybe the person in front of you don't have to have like this huge deep conversation, but maybe just a little connection and talking to them, they tell you about this new book they're reading and you're like, oh my God, I need that book. Like that was probably completely guided by your spirit guides or your higher self or theirs. So just pay attention to the people around you. I'm getting and animals. Pay attention to the people and animals because so many times they have literal messages for us, literal clues for us of our next guided steps. However, they also might have like energetic messages for you. So sometimes when you talk to someone, it's like they might have that energetic key that you're missing for you to take your next guided step, or you might have that for them. I do believe it's like every person you connect with has something for you and you have something for them. I think it works both ways. And a lot of times it is energetic. So you might not even realize it's happening, but just notice it. Just be a little more aware of who's around you. And I know for me, like sometimes I'm like, nobody talk to me, like leave me alone. I just want to like wait in line here or, and not always like that, but a lot of times I am when I'm in public. But maybe like take the guard down a little bit and like just really notice who's around you and share a little connection and energy with people around you. Okay, last tip this is so important. If you feel disconnected, so if you feel like you were like connected with your spirit guides and you were getting all these messages and whatnot, and then all of a sudden there's like nothing. The other way I see this happen is like if you do pull cards for yourself, you pull a card and you get a card and then you're like, okay, cool. And then like say the next day or a few days later, you go to pull cards, you get the same card or like a card that means the same thing. And you're like, oh, that's weird. And then like you go a few days later, you pull it, it's the same message. It's because you haven't taken action. It may be because you haven't taken action. It may also just mean that this is a period of rest for you. Go be human, enjoy your rest. However, if you feel like you're not meant to be in this period of like rest and cocooning, you probably need to take action on whatever guidance or whatever you were guided towards. That action could be something as simple as making a decision about what is the next action step. But your guides will not keep giving you messages and messages and messages until you start moving through the messages. So like if you were guided like to start, doing more exercise, like moving your body, like going on walks or stretching or drinking more water, like if you felt the guidance of something simple like that, and you haven't done it yet, you probably won't get more messages until you actually take action on what they gave you. And then it's like that one little step at a time. As you take action, then you can get more messages, and then you take the guided action, and then they can kind of guide you more. So if you feel like you're in just like total disconnect, no message land, Number one, are you meant to be resting? Do you need to do more human things like take care of your body? If you feel like no to that, then you probably just need to take some action and make a decision and move forward in some way, and then ask again and you'll get new information, probably. So I would love to hear which way your guides typically send you messages, and do you ever feel that kind of like stuckness and you're like, or get that same card over and over and you're like, fine, I'm listening. I always love hearing those stories too. So I hope that was helpful. I will see you in the next one.